Hey guys, in this video I'm gonna try and cover all the new vehicles added in the dev server for the new update. I'm gonna start with the planes in this video. I will try to make another one for ground vehicles later on, so stay tuned for that one as well. And first of all, mention that I'm gonna go as fast as possible. I will try to showcase most of the stat cards and where they are in the tech tree, but most important, keep in mind all of this is work in progress, so don't take this as the final state of the vehicles. Everything is subject to change, a lot of stuff can happen. So yeah, a lot of stuff can change, and just keep in mind this is not final, okay? First off, before we start, mention that there's a new customization option where, as you can see here, if you go to customize a vehicle, you can show or hide weapons, where once activated, it displays every single type of ordnance, ground and air that can carry. It is mirrored, so by looking at one of these sides of the vehicle, you can already see the whole ordnance. It's just, if it's mirrored, it displays in a better way for you guys. Just know that this is for knowing what type of ordnance it can carry. It doesn't display the number it can carry, but well, if you are curious about each type of ordnance, you can just hover and you're gonna see the basic stats and the ranges of each type of missile or bomb or rocket, whatever it is. So it is a very useful tip for any new vehicle. You just want to know what type of ordnance it has. You don't have to display this long list of modification. It's much simpler, much more visual. So that being said, I'm gonna try and cover all the nations, starting with the American tech tree, two new vehicles, the Super Hornet FA-18E, which is essentially a Hornet with better engines, more heavy though. I don't know the exact values, just count that it should be a bit heavier, but it gets some very interesting upgrades for the price of being 14.3, which is an AESA radar, which is much better at tracking multiple targets and keeping track of many targets while doing BVR engagements with Fox 3 missiles. As you can see, this radar can track at the same time up to 40 targets, which is much more than you are gonna need, but if you wanna launch multiple missiles, you can keep tracking more enemies at the same time. And the second main advantage of the Super Hornet over the normal Hornets is this extra pylon, as you can see here, where you can mount 2 more missiles, adding a total of 14 air-to-air missiles if you want. If you hop on real quick, you can carry 12 AIM-9Ms if you want hit seekers, or 12 AIM-120s, either the Bs or the C5. Apparently the Bs are a bit better in short range, where the C5 is better at longer ranges, so probably the Bs is the best one. And of course, if you merge both worlds, you can carry up to 40 missiles total, carrying those wingtip AIM-9Ms or, well, many other combinations in case you wanna bring more AIM-9Ms. So yeah, you can carry a lot of diversity, a lot of ordnance, but of course being a Hornet is gonna be very speed limited, and it is usually, with this limited speed, it isn't the best airframe for air battles, but a different one, better than the Hornets we have in game right now. It is gonna be placed after the F-18C late in the tech tree, so it's gonna be a new vehicle that you're gonna have to grind for the whole price of it. I don't know the current values, I don't know the current grind requirements. Of course they can change, some of them might get moved, so just take this as a provisional. And one more vehicle they added is the rank 3 FR1 Fireball, which is the lowest BR jet we've had in game so far. This is both a propeller engine and a jet engine on the back. Apparently for speed it's gonna be a very fast plane. I really don't know about this type of vehicles, so it's not my expertise. Just know it's gonna be sitting at rank 3, it's gonna be premium, it has some bunch of rockets and bombs if you wanna carry them. Moving on to Germany, there's only one new plane that is getting added, which is the Eurofighter AESA radar version, which should be around the Tranche 3 upgrade of the Eurofighters, but well, the tranches in this game are a bit mixed. Just, it is the same Eurofighter 2000 we already had, but with AESA, and in the case of Germany, the mechanical search version didn't have the IRST, which the new vehicle has it. But other than the new radar, which is a very powerful radar, I will be showcasing it a little bit later, it is a major change, especially good for doing BVR. The coordinates is unchanged, it's exactly the same, so you are just grinding for a new radar, and it's of course gonna be a whole new vehicle you're gonna have to grind, very expensive grind. Is it worth it? I mean, it is better, but I don't know how much worth it is gonna be, just getting a radar upgrade for the price of it, and of course having to grind all the modifications again. One more thing very important, for both Eurofighters, the old one and the new one, in all the tech trees, UK, Germany and Italy, they are getting an upgrade where they can now carry twin AMRAAM in the wing, which they usually weren't able to, so now you can carry up to 10 missiles total with 8 AMRAAMs. You usually weren't able, and you only could carry 1 AMRAAM in the wings, but now you can carry twin mounts, so it's an improvement. 2 more missiles for the Eurofighters, I insist, both for the mechanical search radar and for the EASA search radar versions. Not much more to say about Germany. Moving on to Russia, a new premium Tier 1, the DBLK. It is a 2.0 bomber with an impressive ordnance, I must say. Like, you can carry, I think it's up to 2 1,000 kilogram bomb. It's gonna be available for Golden Eagles as of right now, with a very impressive ordnance. As you can see here, you can carry any mix you want. It is not limited in that kind of sense, only by the, well, the weight disparity between both sides. Very, very low, very goofy looking plane. And yeah, I insist, not much more to say. I am not an expert on this kind of vehicles. Just know that in the new premium hangars, when you are looking at a vehicle, if you click on them, you get a small animation where the engines start turning and some of the flaps or air brakes move around, just for you to know how it works. It's just a nice little visual effect, nothing really that useful in that sense, but it's nice to have this improvement. And another probably fan favorite vehicle we are getting, not this update, this is important, this is not gonna get added this update, this is gonna get added for the winter event, for the Christmas event, which is coming at the same time of the update, but you are gonna have to grind an event for the Mig-25 PD. You are not gonna be able to research it, it's not gonna be in the tech tree, it's gonna be sitting at the event vehicle, it's gonna be a reward, okay? You're gonna have to grind that. Just keep that very, very in mind. I know the War Thunder has displayed it in the update teaser and it has displayed it in the update devlogs and everything, but it's not part of the update per se. So about the ordnance, you don't have any type of weaponry, you only have missiles. You can carry up to 6 missiles of them if you want to run the twin R60Ms, or instead you can carry up to 4 missiles of the R40s, either 2 with the hit seeker head or 4 with the radar head. Of course, you can create any mix you want with whatever combination you want. Maybe you want some R60s here and the rest R40s. 1 hit seeker R40 and other 2 radar guided. I don't know, that's up to you for decide. There's no kind of limitation that way, but what's important is that you don't have any ground ordnance or any type of gun at all. So you're gonna have to heavily rely on these missiles, which I think it's not that bad because it is a very powerful plane. It can reach up to Mach 3s at high altitude. It is sitting at an absurdly low BR. It's gonna be 10.7 as of right now. I insist, subject to change. Currently, I don't see how this thing can stay at 10.7 because there's no way you can catch this plane. Like, it is so absurdly fast that you are not gonna be able to catch it. And to pair it off, it has even flares in one of the wings, so you have 64 countermeasures just to flare or chaff any incoming missiles. Of course, at low altitude, if you go with the afterburner about Mach 1, you're already getting the warning that you're not gonna be able to speed that much because you are gonna break the airframe, but it is a very heavyweight airframe. It is not designed to dogfight. This is an interceptor. You can see how slow the roll is right now. And of course, you can see like the pool itself, it's not that good, but I'm at Mach 1 and I can retain speed as much as I want. As long as I don't black out, of course, here. But yeah, you can just keep pulling and pulling at that speed. I insist, I don't think it's the playstyle. This thing needs to be played at high altitude, where the airframe just shines most with all that high speed. One more detail I forgot to mention here is that the radar has 2 modes. Usually you have the search radar, which is very easy to flare, which is very easy to chaff, but if you go below 1,500 meters altitude, the radar mode changes and it has search MTI mode, which is better at tracking targets, but important, the MTI mode is only when on look down. You need to be looking for targets below you. If you raise the radar and you try and search above you, the radar goes back to search mode. And of course, with being search mode, like, it is much easier for the enemy to chaff it. Yeah, around at an altitude of 8,000 meters, which is more than enough for War Thunder standards, you can see that I can peak at around 1.5. I'm already getting the reduced speed warning, but it has no problem accelerating. It's just that the airframe gets... Basically, the engines are too strong for the airframe to perform, so if you really want to push it over Mach 2, you really need to get altitude, or... Yeah, you can see all the airframe shaking here, and eventually it will break if you keep forcing it. So yeah, reduce speed at 1.73, and I'm still gaining speed while climbing, so if you really wanna get those speeds, you're gonna have to go very high up. At which some point, like, what's the point for a normal War Thunder engagement? You're not gonna be playing at these altitudes, I am sorry, but maybe to run away from an enemy or just to try and traverse as fast as possible the map. But I really doubt there's any plane at 10.7 that is gonna dare to try and catch you at this altitude. It would be like a death sentence for them to try and fight you at this altitude. And here I guess you're a bit more agile, you can even get 7G pull, but yeah, I insist, it's an altitude that is not effective for War Thunder engagement distances. Moving on to UK, just the same as the German Eurofighter I've talked about earlier, we're getting another Typhoon. In this case, it's the exact same, the A8 radar, but the rest still remains unchanged. Nothing changes in any of the Typhoons, they are just the exact same, but with a different radar model, and I think it's time for you to showcase why I think I really like this new change. This is gonna be an impressive fighter to use at BVR because, yeah, as you can see, the angles are over 180 degrees, which means that once you track a target with your TWS, let's say this MiG, and you launch a radar missile just doing your standard BVR, you can immediately pull, go defensive, and the radar, it is still tracking. I am going cold, I can be flaring, chaffing, whatever, and I am still maintaining track on the target. It has over 90 degrees gimbal. I think it's 100 degrees on each side, making it a total of 200 degrees. So you can just launch 8 AMRAAMs, keep a track at all of them at the same time and go defensive, meanwhile flaring, diving away, whatever. And this is an absurdly good upgrade over the standard mechanical search radar, not to mention that I personally really dislike the mechanical search radar on the Eurofighters because, I don't know, they feel very sluggish at times, and I know some people like it, but it is such an inferior radar in comparison to the AESA radars in-game that having this is such a big upgrade, even if the ordnance remains unchanged or the flight model or the engines. Of course, it's gonna be right after the Typhoon, don't expect, I don't know, maybe they folded it. I haven't ever seen an end-of-the-line vehicle getting folded just to make it less expensive to grind, so I highly doubt it. Also, time to mention that the Guardians that got added, excluding the American one, which already have it, are getting a buff here where they are getting the DIRCM, which is the jammer to disrupt enemy hit seeker incoming from anti-airs or enemy planes or helicopters. So the Indonesian, the Chinese, well, from Taiwan, and the UK Apache are all getting this upgrade module, which, well, not a module, they are getting it in their game model because they didn't have it and now they have it. It is a nice upgrade that was missing for all of them. I just wanted to mention that in the meantime. Moving on to Japan, one of the biggest winners of the update, they are getting a really small Malaysian subtree. Well, not even a subtree, just 2 vehicles on the very rightmost tech tree, but they are the Hornet D-Late and the Sukhoi 30 MKM. On top of that, they are getting the Indonesian Hawk 209 premium version, which you can already buy it. Let's start with the MKM, the Sukhoi 30 MKM, which is the Russian Sukhoi 30, but straight up better. I know it doesn't have the thrust vectoring engine, so in those very close dogfight scenarios when you try and pull the Cobra and outmaneuver just to get the R73 locked, it's worse, I know, but you still have the very powerful AESA radar, you still have the engines, you have the R77 ones, which are the improved R77s. In this case, they are named RVV SD because they are the export version. You still have the twin racks in the belly, so you can carry up to 14 missiles total with a mix of R27ETs, R27ERs if you want, and R73s, of course. You also maintain the Russian air-to-ground ordnance, including the amazing KH-38s, which are they are the strongest air-to-ground missile. You get the Damocles targeting pod, which is the French Damocles targeting pod, one of the best in-game as well, with Gen 3 thermals. And to top it off, I don't know if you can notice it here in the model, which is already finished, but here you can see laser warning and missile approach warning system modules, which they are already functional in-game. So it has a better survivability kit with, I think the RWR should be improved. I don't think it is right now, it's the same as the Russian Sukhoi 30 SM. But on top of that, you get laser warning and missile approach warning system while maintaining all the air-to-air and air-to-ground ordnance. Right before the Sukhoi 30, you also have the FA-18 delayed, which isn't a Super Hornet. Unfortunately, you are just the Legacy Hornet. In this case, being the D version, you have a twin cockpit. I haven't checked any stats, but I'm assuming it is gonna be just slightly heavier than the standard cockpit, like slightly heavier than the individual cockpit. That would make sense. But I really haven't checked any data mine values on what the weight is right now. I just can tell you that it has the same engines and ordnance and countermeasures as the American Sea-Lade, so it is gonna be very, very similar to the American Legacy Hornet we already have, but in this case for Malaysia, well, for Japan, part of the Malaysian subchip, better said. And of course, you still have the AMRAAMs and the AIM-9Ms if you want. And for air-to-ground, if you don't want the Sukhoi 30 or you don't have it yet, of course, you can run a very, very improved ordnance over what Japan has. Yeah, and for air-to-ground, you can also carry the laser bombs, JDAMs, and even Mavericks. So very, very powerful plane here. Finally, the Hawk 209, which is a very similar Hawk than the ones we have in the UK, but it has some minor differences. First of all, it doesn't have the built-in cannons. Instead, it has a cannon pod right here in the middle, but still, it is a 30mm cannon, only one of them, unfortunately. But in return, you get some different missiles and some improved air-to-ground ordnance. Sadly, for air-to-ground, the guided ordnance, which are the Mavericks, as of right now, they are only sitting in 2 pylons, so you cannot carry 4 of them. In the innermost pylons, you are forced to bring either rockets or dumb bombs. You cannot run any type of Maverick. And another downgrade is that the missile, instead of the AIM-9L, you have the AIM-9P4, which is an AIM-9P with the AIM-9L seeker. It is not that much big of a difference, but you are limited to 20 Gs instead of the 30 Gs of the AIM-9L, which can be a problem doing off-board shots. Moving on to China, before we start, in the changelog, there's also mention of a Sukhoi 30 MKK coming to China, but it is nowhere to be found. It is not ready. We don't even know if it's really gonna arrive at this update. Just know that it's possible that another Sukhoi 30 comes, in this case to China. But what we currently have, and it's somewhat finished, is the J-10C, which is an improved J-10A, of course, with an AESA radar. It doesn't have, sadly, the amazing gimbal limit of the Eurofighter, but still very, very powerful upgrade over the J-10A. Another improvement is that this one has belly-mounted missiles, so you can carry up to 10 missiles totals, which the J-10A was limited to. Very, very amazing change. For air-to-ground, you have some GPS and laser-guided bombs with a new targeting pod, which I haven't been able to test yet. Just know that in the files, there's also the CM88, which should be some kind of air-to-ground missile, but it hasn't been added to the game yet. It's just sitting in the files. It might come, it might not come, so for now, you are just limited to some laser and GPS bombs. Of course, over the J-10A, it also brings the IRST and missile approach warning system, which is gonna be very nice when you are doing air-to-ground, just for you to have that extra awareness of missiles approaching your way. It also has a better engine, which is in this case the Series 3 of the same AL31FN engine, which is about a bit more over 1,000 kilograms of force over the J-10A, so that's an improvement. I think there's a lot of drama going on right now on the forums complaining about the engine because the J-10C should even have a better engine that it isn't in the game right now. It might change, it might not, I really don't know. Currently, it's just 1,000 kilograms of force over the J-10A engine, so that's it for now. Of course, the J-10C is gonna stay right in between the Mirage, one J-10A Mirage and the J-10C sitting at the end of the line. And onto Italy, I'm not even gonna showcase it much more, just another F2000, another Eurofighter, exactly the same argument. Now it has the AESA radar with that amazing gimbal limit we've already covered. Moving on to France, another Rafale. I've asked Smin, which is community manager for this game, he just says that it hasn't got any new ordnance planned for it, so what we are getting is a naval version of the Rafale we already have in game, the F3. Now we have the F3R. As you can see, maybe the gear changes a bit the display because it's used IRL for catapult launchers from the carriers, but for in-game purposes, right now it has the same engines, the same radar, the exact same ordnance for air-to-air and air-to-ground paired with up to 8 missiles total. It is not it doesn't have any new ordnance planned, so if you already have the Rafale F3, there's no real need to go and get this one, but maybe if you wanna get the Rafale as soon as possible and you wanna rush it, maybe you can ignore the other Rafale because it's in a longer line and you can research the Rafale F3R sooner. And finally, for Israel, there's nothing, and for Sweden, there's something in their ways. They've already kinda hinted that it's the Gripen E, but right now it is not in game. It is not in the game, so I have nothing to showcase for you. So that was it for today's video, guys. Thanks a lot for sticking to the end, and see you next one.